money used to look like this not long ago. But today it's more like they are somewhere else. People feel like, or experience, their money is like trembling, scaring roller coaster going up and down, turning left and right. And we don't really know where they are heading, where they are. Today, we're going to look into tools to grab the money we have. To grab the money we have in future, to grab the money we have today. 3 tools can make your money much more powerful, much more predictable than any time before. These tools are already used by companies and businessmen. Since really ages they've been using these tools, and now they're available for anyone. For you, and even for you back there. Supporting families, individuals, authorities since more than 20 years now with these tools. I know, as an economist, as a journalist, you can get something like 3 or even 4 extra salaries out of these tools, simple tools, by just using them. Extra salaries, monthly salaries every year. There's a lot of money going on there, passing through fingers of a lot of people. And today the tools are ready, free, available for you. We have seen protest demonstrators on this matter for years, really. People have been protesting about costs in Sudan, where they have too expensive bread, or too expensive petrol in Paris, or too expensive bus tickets in Brazil lately. It's all about cost, expenses. This is quite a new thing to protest all about. When I was young, quite recently, right, I was hearing a lot of protests that people stopped buses and so on and protest about salaries, gains from their employers, incomes. But today people talk about outcomes, costs. It's a whole new world, a whole new way of looking at money. And that's why we need new views, new tools, new thoughts to manage our money the right way to benefit ourselves and no one else out there. To help us out, I brought 3 different life stories. My grandfather, Assar, my own father, Bertil, and his son, well, that's me then. They worked and used money in very different ways, since they have different life situations. My grandfather, Assar, he had his field not far away from here as a farmer, working with the horse and a plow, every day, hard-working, in the very same way, as people have done since 7,000 years back, the whole farming age, you know, in the very same way, really. The trouble here is he worked hard, but he didn't change his way of working, so didn't society either change. Putting a number on this is the change in society in those days wasn't on very lowest level, like the very first gear of development, or as an economist would say, the GDP growth of 1%. And suddenly it all ended after 7,000 years. We had a great cut. Where my father comes around, he was brought on the field, but noticed there was a city close by. So he moved there, got education, the first one in his family's history who got a proper education. He got to work, he started to use machines, cool new machines no one ever heard about before. And the coolest machines was one used at home, the washing machines, because that machine made it possible for women to leave home to get to work in the industry also. So all these different factors changed the economy from the very foundation in a very short time, from that one level, farming age, to the city age, where the growth or the change in society really peaked at 7%. It was a huge success as history developed, a great economic leap of mankind. Every society in those days doubled its economy in just 7 or 8 years. From having no change at all, we had all change. And all people almost felt free, rich, and lucky in some way, because the change made it possible for people to change their lives. But that time, that period also had an ending after 150 years, and we're now into my time, or our time really, our generation. We are quite much born in the city, and we use cool machines also, don't we? Like internet or phones or maybe robotics. But they don't change society in that fundamental way. that earlier machines did. So it's only about a fifth of society today in the Western world which works, develops, and changes the world in 5 hours in a more, what do you say, obvious way. Most people instead work with healthcare or education, stuff that really are needed to keep society running. Administration, bus drivers, all these persons are very much needed in society to keep society smoothly running, but it doesn't grow that much anymore. So what are the level now? What's the number we're now talking about? We had quite a slowdown now during 50 years. So now we're down at the second gear of change, or second level of change, almost at the same level as my grandfather, the farmer, had. So the question is, are we poor like farmers now? No, not at all. If you only look at the salary growth, yes, we're not that fortunate. It doesn't grow that much anymore. But we have gained others very strong powers, which we mostly forget. One of them is job stability. We don't have famines like in those days with the farming age. They starved every 6 years. We don't do that anymore. We have health care, we have health education, we have job security, and also freedom of money. All these powers are very important when we now dig down and get a grip on the tools of your money. Having that in your backhand, it will be much easier to use this money in the very best way. So which are the tools then? Well, we have 3 of them, really. The first one is prize money. The second one is time money. And the third one is trust money. Different ways of looking on the very same coins of ours, but using them in different situations to get more money out of the very same salaries we already have. 3 or even 4 extra salaries every year. The very first then, prize money. This is where you decide the price on the coins, everything you earn from your employment. You can put the value on those coins and decide what their price really are, like a merchant of your own money, really. This was not possible during my farming grandfather age. No, sorry to say that. Out of those 10 coins people earned in those days, most money, 8 of them, went for buying food. So people's freedom of money was very, very limited, only 2 of those 10 coins. When he arrived to a shop, for instance, to buy a shirt, the output on the market, the suppliers on the markets, didn't have much of shirts, so he chose between 1, maybe 2 shirts at the shop. So his freedom of choice was even more narrow. What about his freedom of price? Who decides the price when there's a lack of products on the market? Unfortunately, not my grandfather. No, the seller. So my poor grandfather had to pay quite an expensive price for the only single shirt around in the shop, maybe for weeks. Today, this has all changed. Out of the money we earn today, our 10 coins, we use only 2 for buying food. So our freedom of money is huge compared for any time really in human history. What about the freedom of choice? Arriving at internet is much cooler than that shop where my farming grandfather went. So there are thousands of shirts, or maybe even more, out there for me to buy in my perfect size and everything. What about the freedom of price? Who decides the price on the market now? This is a tricky question. How many of you say it's me as a customer who decides the price on the shirt I decided to buy, or how many think it's maybe the seller? Please raise your hand. How many believes in me as a competitive consumer? Oh, that was, if I'm positive, half of you. But I need to encourage really all of you, because you are now the queen and the king, or maybe the emperor of prices out there, because there is an output which is huge and the demand is smaller. Well, the competitiveness of you is much greater than the competitiveness of shirts. So you decide the price not on every shirt around, but on the very shirt you decide to buy, or every car, or every sofa. But how do you get that power in your hand? How do you get across those sellers screaming out cheap, or Black Friday, or for sale? Well, you have to ask yourself really 3 questions. The first one is your need, not what you want, because you want everything. I know that. No. What you need is the question. Ask your neighbor or your friend about that. And the second question is, to what price? So what am I ready to pay for this need? Then you get a fair picture of your situation, right? But you forgot something, which is the date. When do I need this thing? Do I need the sofa right now or in 6 months' time? If I have 6 months to look around, to think, and so on, I maybe make a better choice and a cheaper choice, a quality choice, everything. So need, price, and when, the date. That's the basic. Helping families with these simple questions and supporting them to do these choices. They get something like 2 or 3 extra salaries from their very own money. Their money they earn every year, they get 2 or 3 extra salaries from the very same money around. So it's no new money, it's just working with the money in a more, would you say, professional way. You're moving from being a consumer, a passive consumer accepting Black Friday, to become a merchant of your own money, where you decide the price and when and how to use them. Now I need to confess, I bought a white costume once, white suit once, lovely looking. I thought, because the price was that very attractive, I couldn't stop walking by that shop without buying it. But when I arrived home to get dressed for that party, the size was all wrong, too large. So I got the price all right, but I forgot the need. I didn't need a large white suit. And I wonder who did, but I never used it. And so I learned my lesson. But to you then, please, catch the need, catch your price, and what date you really need these things you're buying. And you move from being the passive consumer to being the active merchant of your own money. And ask friends, ask your family. Maybe they have experience and can support you. That was the first price money we have to use. The second one is time money. It's a completely new money around. This is about those money you don't use already right now. The one you put aside for happy days further on. How do we get to use them? Well, we demand growth. They can work for us. They can become more if we doesn't use them, but we put them in better conditions to help them around. This was not possible at all when my grandfather was around. He left his extra money on a bank account for decades where they didn't grow significantly. And you people, I know, you put money around too, put money aside for future, but we need to demand growth. And how do you do that? Well, remember what I mentioned before about the partial growth in society. Yes, we have a society which today grows. About 1/5 of society is growing more rapidly. That's where we're supposed to put our extra money, growing. And so how do you find them? Well, it's quite easy. It's a word we need to use, learn. It's mutual fund. You can really find them anywhere. And it's an easy way of saving your money in companies, not one, but many. And how will it develop then? How effective or interesting is this? Well, the easy rule here is you put away 3 coins, they'll become 4 in something like 3 or 4 years. 3 coins become 4. Is that good or bad? Well, that was most professionals are looking for, that certain growth. So they are happy with it, and so I think we should also be. The third step is the most funny or happy step around here, is to use that 4th coin. We have put away 3 coins, and we get that 4th coin. Use that profit coins to celebrate something. So you can leave the time, money, machine coins still go on working for you. In that way, you have money arriving to you once in a while to support you in your daily life. And you have 3 or 4 years to wait. You can't wait just 1 week because that won't change money very much. You have to wait for those years to come. And you got the time money in your hand. And what really happens is you're leaving the role of having sleeping money in your pocket, and being more like a demanding self-banker, really, demanding growth of your own money without putting any work or any efforts into them. That's a very easy way of getting 1 extra salary, not every year, but maybe every 2nd year. Try it. It's worthwhile, since it doesn't cost any work, really. The third coin we have at our disposal is our trust money. What is this? Well, this is when we use our trust. The trust that we will work, the trust we will use money, earn money, that will arrive to our employer every week and so. That trust we can use to get a much better price on our long commitments, reoccurring costs like mortgages or insurances or subscriptions in different ways, electricity or telecom services. All these things we buy every second of our life. Whether we are awake or asleep or sick or at work, we do consume these services, don't we? And these are large money we're talking about, maybe probably the most important money to have focus on here. Just looking at the mortgage people paying is often one extra salary every year. Just keep it in your pocket instead of the bank's pocket. And then we have the others' commitments also when it comes to trust money. But how do you get around then? How do you get the grip on this trust money? Well, we have 3 steps here, which is quite easy. The very first one is to don't trust your old supplier. Does it make you smile? I hope so, because we're so loyal. We think to the very old supplier we had. We had the same telecom service for 10 years, and we are full for 9, something like that. And the bank is about the same. So please, invite new suppliers. 3 suppliers at least, and forget the old one. Haven't they done any better since 10 years back? Well, you can have a new one. So reach out for 3 new suppliers when it comes to mortgage, telecom service, or whatever, all these long needs. And tell them, I'm in for a change. I want a new supplier, a better, tougher, cheaper, maybe, supplier. Because they like when you reach out for them and say, I'm ready for a change. Then they open their minds and give you a very good offer. So please reach out and say you're in for a change. That's the really most important step. You don't have to be rich. You can be just an ordinary man, and you can have a much better life with a cheaper mortgage, maybe. The thing here is to negotiate, move from being that passive acceptance person and being negotiating towards the bank or towards the insurance company. And negotiating is not that tough as it sounds. And the last step, every 3rd or maybe 4th year, you once again invite new suppliers and say, I'm in for a change. I'm serious, I want to change. To be loyal to yourself is to be illoyal to your long suppliers because they don't help you that much. I recently found out that we have different telecom services in my family, and so I put all of them together, and it was one of those negotiations everyone can do, a simple one, or the mortgage is even more money we can help us out with. In this way, you move from being the passive acceptance person to be a negotiator, the cool guy reaching out and get a lot of offers, and can keep about 3 extra salaries maybe in your own pocket instead of giving them away. So now you know. Now you know the tools. We have the price money, where you decide the price on every coin you use if you want to become that, merchant of your own money. You have the time money, where you demand growth of the money you don't use and becomes your own banker almost. And the 3rd one was the trust money, where you put your engagement, your commitment into the long-running costs to negotiate a lot better price or quality in the long-running demands that you really have. That's what money is all about. The very last simple question is really how to get started. Well, you book yourself in your own calendar next week, 2 hours, that's what's needed. Maybe watch it speak again and just get started. And by the way, the coin is right here. Thank you.